The old Mad Max graveyard. We also got this contraption still sitting here. This is what we call the horseless carriage. It's actually a cart for pulling behind a horse. And we put a wheelchair motor on it with a custom fork that we built for it. And this solid rubber steel wheel from some sort of farm equipment. That's what we would drive it with. And these, we had reins tied on here that we'd steer it with. It's pretty crazy. Ran it off a foot pedal on there. The horseless carriage. We also got some other junk sitting over here. I'm not really going to dig it out, but I'll show you guys. You see this? These two seats right here. Kind of looks like a paddle boat. It was like a two-seater. It's a two-seater bicycle with pedals like a paddle boat. See? Water pouring on my foot. Anyway, we got a wheelchair motor on this one too, with a donut from a Caprice station wagon with an old vintage light on it. And this thing was front wheel drive, 36 volt, carried 2 passengers. It was pretty crazy. It actually worked really good. It was just that the batteries were too heavy. The lead acid batteries were too heavy for it, and they kept breaking the rear axle. Off of it. So there's the wheel that was on the back of it with that white tire on it. Long forgotten projects as usual. Look, we got some skis for a plane. I don't know what we're going to do with them.
It was a 48 volt cart that they used in warehouses, and you could fit, 2 4-foot pallets on the back of it with a fork truck and then drive around. I bought it at an auction about 6-7 years ago. Put these quad tires on the back, put these donuts on the front, and I made it 24 volt. We use it in the field, and it has a 12-foot by 20-foot canopy that I built on top of it. I made it 12 by 20 because it's a common tarp size, so it's really easy to just go buy a new tarp and put it on there. This cart has 2 systems. It's completely solar powered. The drive system is 24 volt, and it's the top solar panel on there is a SunTech 200 watt. That controls or charges up the 24 volt function for driving the machine around. The other panel on the bottom is a Siemens 55 watt, and that is a 12 volt panel, and it controls or charges the 12 volt system that's on the cart. I wanted to get it out in the field here so you can see what I'm dealing with, and the many years of roasting in the sun to come up with this idea. It's pretty crazy, but it works really well. And when it's really hot out there, man, it's nice just to have a little bit of relief. I didn't want to buy a waterproof box, so I found this drill box in the trash, of course. All right. And this is basically the control center. This is where the charge controllers are housed for the 12 volt and the 24 volt system. I have a small LED readout so we can see the voltage. 13.1, she's chooching right now. And I also have 2 toggle switches mounted in the bottom of the box, which you can see there. So the toggle switches are what control. We got 2 car fans on there. I've had a couple different ones on here. They've died over the years, and I believe both of these work right now. Oh yeah. So I'll shut them off because they're pretty noisy. Sometimes in the summer I'll run them strictly off the panel if it's really sunny out. But most of the 12 volt system is here. the 24, you know, this battery and a couple other ones I have ganged on here to charge off the panel, and I use them on other things like sprayers and stuff. But there are, I believe, 4 12-volt batteries under the wooden deck of this machine. That's the 24-volt system. It's belt driven off an electric motor. There's an actual like truck rear in there with V-belts that run down to it. That's all stock Cushman stuff. And when I got it, the controller didn't work for the drive unit. It was 48 volt anyway. 48 volts way too fast. We need it at like a crawling speed out here, you know. As we're moving, we move it. So I have this toggle switch here, which is basically just, that's it. It's just on or off. And I leave the belts a little loose, so, you know, you kind of got to nudge it a little bit, but it's nice so you don't end up running somebody over or running yourself over. But this is the rig. You know, you get in here between the bushes, you're in the shade. My tarp got a little rusty where I was stored it this year, but it's probably the last season for this one anyway. Anyway, this frame is attached to the cart, comes up, and it's all galvanized box tubing except for the pipe that's in the middle. And basically it hinges like a door hinge, right? I have one panel on the right, one panel on the left, and they pivot off this pipe. So if you look up here, I made kind of like a pipe on a pipe, you know, for a hinge. My initial intention was to be able to fold these sides down. I don't know how well this will work with the sun, but my initial idea was to fold the sides down for transport, and then I could just drive it with the sides down. In hindsight, I don't really use it that often. Once I put the solar panels on the front, I really can't fold it because the solar panels are kind of in the way. So another idea I had is where you could leave it extended like this and then fold one side all the way down and have it like, you know, cast a shadow towards the end of the day or something. But I don't really use it that way. This is basically the only way we use it. In the off season, I'll tear scrap apart on it and use it for that, you know, stay in the shade. But right now it's blue crack season, so that's what this machine's doing now, is harvesting the blue crack. All right. I was a little kid out here going, there's gotta be a better way. I guess I found the better way, right? Mother of invention is necessity. All right. Let me back up a little more so you can get a full view of it. She's pretty awesome, man. Final picking in the Walcotts. This is how we do it. You're probably not going to see this anywhere else. I can say that probably because most old farmers got rid of this equipment a long, long time ago, as soon as machines became pretty prevalent. Anyway, it's a basket. I don't know the company that makes it. It's got a, you know, canvas bag in it with a notch cut out in it, just so it nestles in between the bush. All right, and then we have this thing. We call them vibrators. They're 24 volt, all right? We used to carry carts around in the field with 2 batteries in them, car batteries, but now I just hook it to the golf carts. It's a lot more convenient. I can bump the power up if I need to, if the bushes are real thick. But there's still quite a bit of green ones on here, but we got other fields coming in, and there's no time to waste, you know what I mean? Fruit waits on no man. So I'll set you guys up over here. You can see how it's supposed to go down. Anyway, old school style. Basically just pretty self-explanatory. Does a really, really good job. That's for sure. And I'm not sure though. But it works pretty good, other than it being hotter than the Sahara out here. The Sahara. And you know, one guy can do quite a bit of work, man. That's for sure. Now these will get ran down my belt. It's up in the barn. It'll blow all the debris out, and the green ones, and then it'll go down the belt and get sorted. And make sure you get the sticks out. The sticks will pop them. That's not good. We don't want to pop them. We want grade A fruit. That's what we want. This is the best way to get it, in my opinion, because when it goes through the machine, the berries roll around too much. This way I can really control how much jostling they get. And it keeps the blue on them. And you want the blue because the blue's the good stuff. Definitely not. He needs a new drive belt. So anticlimactic. Oh, he's back. He had his bogue. He just butted it out. Now. He's making a pretty good crop circle though. I don't know how many passes he did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think he's on his 8th circle. He's slow, but he don't cost a lot of money. Lower that bilge pump down in there. Okay. And basically run the pump directly off the panel. Sometimes I use a battery if it's cloudy or get a day. We got a lot of sun today, clear skies, so get this thing transferring. Let's go see if we can hear it running in there. It takes a little while to get through this long hose. I don't like buying hoses because I have to run them over all the time. Yep. You guys hear that? All right. This is a homemade electric bike, version 1. This was the first one that I built. Started out as a 3-wheeled bike. I don't remember where the bike came from. I either found it in the trash or I think it was abandoned in the woods, something like that. It was super rusty. All right. Like, it pretty much looked like this when I had it running too. Like, it didn't get more rusty sitting here. It was always kind of a rat rod style. All right. I had I took the front portion off of a moped. I cut the frame off of a moped, basically to get the forks, the suspension, the brakes, and all that. Well, the suspension's welded solid, so not the suspension, but basically the brakes and the handlebars and all that to control it. And then this is a golf cart, a gas-powered golf cart starter motor, 12 volt, and I got it hooked up to a V-belt with a pulley. And then I took a 20-inch bicycle rim, popped all the spokes out, and I welded it to the moped wheel, and that's the pulley. So that's what drives it. I've had this thing 12 volt to do about 12 miles an hour, 24 volt to do about 20, and then 36 volt, it was just uncontrollable. It would just smoke the tire right off the front of it, right? But I couldn't use it in 36. It was way too fast. It only had coaster brake at the time, and until I hooked that drum brake up years ago. But this thing had 4 Group 31 batteries in it. I had 2 in the basket. I had 1 under the seat in this area, and then I had another one in this area back here that's built onto the back. And I took a a rear swing arm off of a GoPed or one of those mini bicycles or something and put that under there as a tag axle to help hold the weight, because these rims, the spokes were so rusty. You see how loose this one is. They were so rusty they wouldn't hold it, so I started, you know, making my own spokes. I did it on both sides, sheet metal. And I also had a trailer that hooked up here, and it was a one of those little sulky carts that you pull kids around in, and I had a wheelchair seat in it.
Sulky cart. I used to pull behind the one bike,
so I could carry passengers. And basically this thing has no controller, it's solid state. I had a relay up here on this bracket right here that this wire went to, which was controlled by this toggle switch right here. All right, see it moving? All right, with the spring on it, and that just worked off the regular twist throttle for the moped. All right, and I had, you know, it's all rusty now. Oh, there she goes. Had a bell and a klaxon on here, and I used to use it for the swap meet. I think the last time I used it, the brush is kind of worn out. I have a new set of brushes, and I might be able to clean the armature up and get it going again, but I don't really use it. It just sits here. This is version 1. I have quite a few different versions of electric bikes that I built. I'll have to make some other videos on them, but this was my rat rod one, and I really like this bike, man. It was comfortable. I could pull another person around behind me at the swap meet, or, you know, car shows and things like that. All right. They had all kinds of goofy stickers and horns on it, and danger, high voltage, you know, a dirty mine is a terrible thing to waste, you know. It was fun. I think the horn used to work off the horn button, and I had a headlight on here. It was actually like a side spotlight off like a 50s car. Some guy gave me $150 for it at the swap meet the one year, so I unbolted and gave it to him. It's probably worth $300, but whatever. You know, made my own spokes because these rims. Something about this. I think this is a 24-inch wheel back here, which is kind of hard to find these spokes, because I went to a bicycle guy that deals in these things, and most of these are 26-inch bikes, but this one's a 24-inch girl's bike originally, so it's kind of hard to find them spokes. So I just made my own. You know, it couldn't really handle the weight, and it's 3-speed pedal. You know, it's got a hub right back in here that's 3-speed. Yeah, well, this is one of them. Figured I'd do a quick video on it. I don't really have any videos of it actually running, but it was fun. It'd probably come back to life with some tires and a little bit of love, but I just don't want to scrap it because it's like one of the things that I've built over the years. Here's another electric bike project I built quite a few years ago. I built this for a buddy of mine that lost his license for a little while, and he had to get back and forth to work, so he used this thing. I believe it started out as like a mid-60s Ross beach cruiser. Not sure what exactly year it is or what kind of bike it was. I'm pretty sure it was a Ross, but anyway, I took a wheelchair apart. This is a motor from a wheelchair. Took the wheel off the hub. Alright, we made a bracket, mounted it to the forks. As you can see here, fabric cobbled it all together, right? And this is a 6-inch pulley that you can get at any hardware store. This is a 3-inch pulley that you can get at any hardware store. Now, this is I guess 2-to-1, basically, because it's 6-to-3. Basically, what I did is I widened the front forks and put a back wheel from a mountain bike on here, or I believe it was a mountain bike. It was a 26-inch mountain bike. And we took the gears off of the chain selector. We took the 5 or so gears off of there, and I welded the pulley right to the hub. Now, the reason we did this is because it freewheels. Here, let me set you down and I'll show you. See if I can do this without falling over. Basically, That's the reason we did it, is because it basically freewheels on its own, right? So if you're driving along and you come to a hill, you can disconnect the motor and just, you know, coast down the hill. Or if you want to pedal, you're not trying to turn the motor at the same time. So when the motor spins, it engages the freewheel in the front hub and it pulls you. So it's front wheel drive. You can see we have a tensioner here that we put on there. It's attached to the neck. These are some mountain bike handlebars that we threw on there. This thing's been mothballed for quite a few years because he got his license back and didn't need to drive it anymore. So the back used to have like a storage rack on here that we took off. This is a front fork from another bike. It's all welded on there. The rim, we had problems with, you know, too much weight because we had full-size 12-volt batteries in these battery boxes on both sides, right, from the wheelchair. So it was pretty heavy. Each battery was probably about 45 pounds. So it was kind of awkward for other people to ride. Anybody we ever really let ride this thing kind of had a problem with riding it because you've got all this weight up top here over your front end, and then you had all this weight down here low in the back. It was a little awkward, but, you know, once you got used to it, it was really easy. Pretty much the same situation as my other bike. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out, version 1. This is just a regular toggle switch that was in there. Obviously it broke off, and then it was controlled by this lever. I think the only brakes this had was coaster brakes. Yeah, you know, because it's a beach cruiser, so it had coaster brakes. And I believe this was like a kill switch. Like you pull that up and it would engage it, so then when you hit the lever it would go. And that was just so if somebody came along and did this, it didn't just take off, you know. So this was like the on key, and then this was your throttle. It was we had it wired up. You can see some of these wires are disconnected here, and then down here I had it set up to where you could set it up in 24 volt and then drive it, and it would do probably about 25 miles an hour. But when you got home and wanted to charge it, you would just, you know, take this little jump wire that's up here and kind of jump this system together in 12 volt and then charge the whole system as 2 batteries as 12 volt. That way you didn't need a 24 volt charger. You could charge it anywhere if you ran out of juice, and anybody had a regular charger, you could just, you know, reconfigure the wiring real quick with a couple quick connections and then charge it as 12 volt. You could also drive it as 12 volt. It would just only do about 12 miles an hour in 12 volt, but you would go really, really far, right? It would double your distance. I think this was the horn. You know, it was a momentary beep beep. There's a horn. There used to be a light, a vintage round light down here real close to the ground that we took off. I think I sold the light to somebody else for a project. And yeah, so this is version 2. You know, it's been in the mothballs for a while, but I'm sure with some batteries and some new wires and a couple switches, we could definitely get this thing going again if we ever needed to, but nobody ever really has had to use it since then. So we stole the seat off it for another project. But I figured I'd make a short video on this guy because I've got quite a few of them around here that I've built over the years. I'll have to dig them out. It took a pretty good amount of work to get this thing dug out of where it was. Sub shops here. It's basically, you know, tensioner. Built a little bracket for the switch to mount it on. Tensioner is mounted to the neck. You know, you can adjust it to tighten the belt. Here's the pivot point. Just a pipe mounted to the, welded to the factory fork. We made a cool little, like, you know, spike gusset to support the fork. This was the best idea ever, though, because it lets it freewheel. And you can see where we had to cut the original fork off, and I brought it over and basically just made a steering stop for it with this rubber hose on there and a tab. Basically, when you would park it, this is how you would park it. It has a kickstand on the outside of this box. The bracket for this box, the boxes are all flamed out, right? The wheel used to be red, but it's faded out here in the sun. Right, so this is how you would park it. You just cant the handlebars over and lean it over on its kickstand, and it stood there pretty good. You know, because this thing was so heavy, this is how we had to do it. It is kind of, it looks a little weird with this thing on there, but that gear reduction box really makes it nice, and it's quality stuff, you know. Invacare, you know, wheelchair stuff. It's really good stuff. And the motor doesn't mind being ran 12 or 24 volts, so I figured I'd do a short video on this thing, you know, if it gives anybody some ideas. This would be a great candidate to modify and now use lithium batteries. Back when we built this, the lithium batteries were really expensive and they weren't as prevalent as they are now.
Also got this contraption here I built years ago. Ooh, we got some wasp nests in there. Are they alive? No. Okay. Anyway, this is a 40-gallon well tank, bladder tank. I cut the bladder out of it. You can see here where I cut the top off, took the bladder out. And this is a 12-volt vacuum pump from some sort of medical equipment for the military that we got off of Fred. And there's also a tire shredder here. So what I would do is I would run this on 12 volt, draw a vacuum on this tank, and then I would use this wand to suck vegetable oil out of the recycling bins behind restaurants when I used to run my bends on vegetable oil. So I made this little vacuum setup for it so I could go, I think I could get like 35 gallons in this thing, you know, at one shot. So it worked really good. I could suck it up, and then when I came back to the house, I would just bleed off the vacuum and I would pressurize it right here with like 10 or 15 psi, and then this would be the outlet that would go into either my 5-gallon water jug for filtration or straight into the filter. And that's how I used to collect vegetable oil. This was my sight glass. I could tell when the tank was getting pretty full, we would start to get oil into this sight glass. So another Mad Max contraption that's just sitting here. And we won't even get started on all the golf cart projects that we've seen. All right. All right, y'all. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. Hope you like some of the throwback videos. They're kind of fun to make, go through some of the old footage. This is another storage locker. Some more crap we got to get rid of. All right, y'all. See you on the next one.